All right, okay.
Did you ever have dinner with Walt at the Tam O'Shanter?
No, never did. I had dinner with a lot of different places. I never.
Because we went there last night and I sat right where he sat.
Oh yeah, the table.
Yeah, there's a...
People carved that table up.
They have. We ate dinner, looked at the carving and everything, and the Walt sat right there.
Yeah, did you hear the ghost of the attic?
No.
Oh, long time ago. Okay, there you go. Okay, thank you. All right.
Could you sign his People Mover shirt?
Yeah, let's see. Okay. Let's see if we can stretch it up like that. Okay, let's come over a little closer here. All right.
We have to shake it a bit. Probably because it's at an angle outside. The other thing you might want to do is you can take it off.
Let me try on this one here.
There you go.
This will work here.
Because it's the... There we go.
There we go. It's warm. I'll keep my hands right here. I'll get my hand close to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Daughters could go to school nearby, and by the way, Walt, he always drove his girls to school every day before he went into the office. He was quite a doting father, and of course he always liked convertibles. So you can imagine his daughters in those days. You want to go to school with a top down and a yellow Packard convertible. Well, that trumps your mother today trying to drive you around in a Hummer or an Escalade. But anyway, you can see that. Walt made sure they had quite a really good life in this whole area. Now we're entering an area now that's generally referred to as Silver Lake, because on a hill just to our left there is a beautiful lake. It's dry now because they're doing a lot of maintenance work on it, but it's Silver Lake, a beautiful lake, kind of Mediterranean hill. So this is a really nice, interesting neighborhood, and this is where Walt decided to build his house along with Roy. Okay, Ernie's going to talk to us now a little bit.
Everybody is asleep. No talking. That's Walt's house, and that's Roy's house.
Oh, that one was Roy? I really like
They
that.
both 12,000 pieces came in a box. Walt could build anything.
This is from Walt's
Yeah,
house
his
too.
brother helped.
Is someone actually living in this? I want to buy one. I would go with
Actually, they should have had a 1927 Roadster
Right?
parked in, but that Volkswagen's always here. That didn't belong to Walt. But you can appreciate these homes have been well kept, almost no changes. Modernized inside, of course. But these are precious artifacts. A lot of people know the neighborhood here, so we have to be very careful about not bothering people here. So anyway, Walt started to get some money, built these homes. Shortly thereafter, moved to another place up on the hill. And then in the meantime, the studio started over a little bit west of here, and then started the big studio around the corner. So this was very, very close to live here, and you could just literally walk to the studio from here. So a lot of the animators started here in this studio. Even though the studio went out to Burbank later, a lot of animators still lived in the area. I lived on the top of a hill here for 25 years. A couple blocks down, Alice Davis was there, and she still lives there today.
Thank you, everyone. How many of you ever recognize this school, know anything about it? This was designed by an architect, George M. Lindsay. It's done in what's called collegiate Gothic style. Now in California, you don't see this kind of a style. This is pretty rare. You see it all over the East and of course Great Britain. It was constructed in 1930. First opens its doors on January 26, 1931. And in October of that year, I was born. So the school is just a hair older than I am. It doesn't have any gray hair, but it's... It went through an earthquake. 1971, the Selma earthquake. Some of these buildings were damaged and it was all condemned here for some time. And in 1975, they closed it. Then it was strengthened, reopened in 1980. It's had some famous students over the years. Two of them, one of them is Leonardo DiCaprio, an actor, and the other was the famous Hollywood madam, Heidi Fleiss. So we have a range of students here. Of course, my youngest daughter, who is none of the above, graduated from here in 1976. This has been used for a bunch of movies, both inside and outside, and as you can see today, they're doing yet another movie here, because it's such a great piece of architecture when you're doing classical stories. They did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that's done here, Nightmare on Elm Street, and some shots for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Grease. All done here. So this school is actually a movie set. That just happens to have students. All right, so that's the story of that, and what we'll do, we're going to get back on the bus. And you folks down there, if you want to take a picture, this is a sign that you want to take a look at. This is known as Cultural Heritage Road Monument number 163, site of Walt Disney's original Hyperion Studios. This used to be my market. I did my laundry over here. So I was on hallowed ground because I knew Snow White was born right here in this parking lot. So you can appreciate that if you look way back in the corner by those trees, you'll see the top of the building of John Marshall High.
Oh,
These hills were slowly filling up with houses, sort of one at a time. So if you look back at old pictures of Disney stuff in this area, it was very interesting. This whole place was slowly growing in the late 20s going into the early 30s. Across the street there are several buildings that when you look at the old Hyperion Studio, those buildings are still there. Some big homes, one of them is a nursery, and some of the big homes at the top of the hill, they've never changed. And if you look all the way down that way, when you get back on the bus, the highest part of the hill, well naturally, I lived on the highest part of the hill. And I could see the ocean from there, believe it or not. So this is a very unique little valley here, so much history. We're gonna go around the corner and we're gonna stop the bus in two places for about 20 seconds. There's a group of what would be themed architecture. These are little like duplex bungalows done in kind of an English style. And if you also, as you look at some of the pictures of Disney history, particularly there's a big photograph in the 1901 lounge down at DCA. There's a big photograph of Walt sitting around with the guys with a metronome. It's a music group. That was taken in one of these little bungalows on this street. So the studio expanded so much they built a little bit at a time. This corner over here, that was the baseball diamond. They went out and they played baseball all the time out there at lunchtime. But he rented all these little bungalows around the corner. The architectural style inside those bungalows is a very cute California Scottish kind of style. 1901, the architecture reflects exactly the styles that were in those little bungalows. Because we're going to dedicate like 3 in the afternoon, and by about 11 o'clock in the morning, Nick showed up with Walt and his wife and the 2 girls, Secret Service and our police. And Walt wanted to show him the train. It was hot as heck. And I said, well, let's look at the train. I said, well, just a minute, we got to turn the air conditioning on. So a few minutes, the air conditioning cooled the nose down, so we got in there. And then we got inside. And then with the Vice President, his wife, 2 girls, and I. And then Walt starts explaining stuff. And he said something like, well, Dick, you know that I drive this steam, but this is electric monorail. So I let Bobby drive it. And then Walt said, well, give him a ride. I drove off. I have a radio, you know, we're supposed to communicate. I drove off. Go out and have to go to the train, make a right turn, then turn and come back over in the sub-ride. Then you get by the sub-ride, you can see the platform. And Nixon saw that the Secret Service guys. Okay, we got everybody. Okay. This entire area at one time was an airport, as I said earlier on the bus, starting in 1929. By 1930, it was a big operating airport. Then all through World War II, it was an extremely busy place with training for U.S. Army Air Force. That was before there was a real Air Force. And this airport was filled with airplanes like every minute. Something taking off, something landing. A lot of training airplanes, twin wing airplanes. Lockheed P-38s coming down here from the factory was up the road a little bit. They'd come down, modify them, take them off some other place. At the end of World War II, it became what's called a general aviation airport, in which smaller planes come and go here. There was a lot of extremely rich people that before you had Lear jets and corporate jets, they all parked their airplanes here. The Hollywood nobility that were interested in aviation, they all kept their airplanes here. So this was a totally fascinating place before the war and then immediately after the war. And by 1958, economically, it wasn't working anymore. City of Glendale sold this to the, I think it was the Prudential Life Insurance Company. And they started building buildings all over the area and then renting them out. And this became, after November 1958, it became an industrial park. By 1961, Disney had expanded so much inside the Disney studios that some of the stockholders were very upset with Walt. They said, you got a company called WIT Enterprises, which stands for your initials, and you got all these people in there, and they're working on your private park, and this is a movie studio. Get them out of there. Okay, so Walt picked out the building on the corner. We just went around the corner. That's the that famous 800 Sonora. And at that time, we moved in on the 16th of August, 1961. We not only continued the design of Disneyland, we designed and built the initial phases of all 4 shows from the New York World's Fair in that one little building. By 62, we expanded into this building. There's the cops. This building right here. He probably wants something. It's okay, it's okay. Started expanding into this whole area. And the company has grown so big, it takes so many people to design all these parks worldwide that this entire area, almost all of it now, is owned or leased by the Walt Disney Company. The whole area is called Creative Campus. You see there's a big parking garage, and then there's a big office buildings beyond that. There's a whole bunch of buildings that got built that have nothing but people and paperwork. Hate to say it, but it's people and paperwork. These buildings actually have people designing and building and doing stuff. This building here is 2 parts of it. The north part is called the North Maple Building. The south part is called the South Maple Building. And it's now referred to today as the not Maple building. It's all offices. But this was the factory where the Mark III monorail was designed right here. And it was built right here. My office was about the third window down on the top floor there for a long time. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay.
We just gotta part the way the seats longer.
See, I tell you, it took them 5 minutes to find us out here. We built steam locomotives in here. We all of our early animation was all designed and built and engineered in this building. So this was a very, very big, busy factory all of those years. This is the back side of 1401. You all know what 1401 means, which is the address on Flower Street, which is the original big headquarters of WED Enterprises, which later became Walt Disney Imagineering. Big bulk of design work is still being done right in here. All the big model shops are all done here. We've redesigned the inside of this building now to the point that I was over here some months ago. They can't remember what was where, and we did an architectural dig to see what was where every year because we redesigned it so much now where everybody's lost. We don't even know historically where we were anymore. But that's how the changes occur in this company so much. You'll also note that these buildings have an interesting kind of a yellow tan, green stripe, and a sort of an ochre bottom. How many of you have seen pictures of the Walt Disney Studios? Those are the 1938 colors. We have repeated these, so every time you see one of these buildings in that color, that is one that we either lease or own. Sometimes you'll take a close look and you'll see they have an oval emblem like a cast member at Disneyland. And these buildings are cast members. They have their own addresses. Not all do, but some of them do. So as we drive along, you'll kind of notice that little bit of a difference. We would develop things here. We had a building about where the garage is for a number of years. That was the original Star Tours simulator room. We would have this big simulator in this great big building, and we would take people and put them in the simulator without letting them see it. They'd walk in, sit down, take a ride in the thing. Then we'd let them out, put them on the ground floor of the thing, and they'd say, "You want to see it run?" When they saw the box, if you know what an airplane simulator looks like, it's a big thing. That box was flying all over the room. Nobody get back in the box. So when you go to Disneyland, there they are, there they are. Yeah, the Bob Iger Secret Service, yeah. So when you go to Disneyland, you'll notice there's a walkway that you go through. That tells you how much space it takes for that box to fly all around the room. It's quite a sight. It's actually more invigorating to watch Star Tours than it is to ride it. Because, I mean, that's really big stuff. This building here, I think it's this one here. We have a secret thing where we have the world's largest visual, I'm losing the name, VR.
reality.
Yeah, a VR. See the part on the top, that's all a great big area. We have, I think, 20 projectors in there, and when we design an attraction, we build it in the computer, and then in that computer, the whole thing is almost holographic-like, and when you put your Oculus Rift type thing on, and it's spooky because you're looking at stuff that's real. Like the first time years ago, they said, "Wow, we got a Formula One race car. We got a Red Bull Formula One race car, and they're sitting on the floor." They said, "Go look at it. Look at the car." I'm looking at the car. He says, "Okay, walk through it." God, I walked right through the car. Then he says, "Okay, turn around. We're going to go to a balcony down at Pirate's balcony." He says, "Go up. Let's see if you can lean on the rail." I'm looking down. I'm on the second floor. There's nobody who will lean on that rail. It's so good when you see VR done flawlessly. You have to actually see that thing to believe it. Well, we use that as a design tool so that before we actually build something, we've experienced it 100% complete, everything about it, and we never built a model of it or never built a full-size set. That's how advanced the tools are that go on in this place. How many of you know, anybody here a pilot? Anybody ever flew an airplane? Okay. But you know that airplanes, they knew where they were. They looked out the window and they come to a town and they would read the sign on the barn. Okay. This is a major terminal. This is the runway right here. This lettering is the exact alignment. The street's a little bit different. So they keep flying here. They come down the valley. They come down from the by San Fernando. They come out of the clouds and come down lower and lower and lower. They say, hey, anybody see Grand Central Air Terminal? Big letters. They come down here and say, oh, that's it. It's all ready to leave. When we dedicated this place a few years ago, this was about a 4 or 5 year project. I was part of the Doson's team on it. We had our soft opening in December of 2015, and then in February, I think, 16, we had an aeronautical museum, big national meet here in the building, which is now multi-purpose. And then the next day, they said, any of you want to join us? We're going to get an old airliner from 1930s, a Douglas DC-3, and we'll meet in Long Beach, and we'll drive up here, and we'll come down to 1,000 feet, and we'll make 2 laps all around this airport, and you could see the sign. So I knew we were in Glendale because you could see the sign. If you want to know more, please go to bobberg.com. There's a whole bunch of stories. And to the right side of those 2 big palm trees, which were about half that height, in 1939, they had a glider air show here, and I was so enamored. They were doing aerobatics in gliders in 1939, and I thought, I am going to fly gliders someday. I don't know how I'll do it. I was 28 before I finally joined the glider club, and then flew for 50 years after that. Gliders, motor gliders, so gliders. I spent 25 years of staying in the air with no motor. Hot air. But anyway, this is such a historically important place, which you read more about in the history of it. Howard Hughes started and finished his round-the-world trip with his Lockheed Model 14 from here. What is it? Universal now owns part of this. Actually, they had a lot of problems here with the money here. They kept losing so much money, and they finally sold the building in order to raise some money. And then it turned out it says, well, you know, Spielberg and Jeffrey Katz and all those guys, they'll just go ahead and sell it to Universal. And of course, Spielberg's back with his own Amblin Entertainment company, which 19% of that just got by Universal. So we're going to stop just in front of the DreamWorks sign. So if anybody wants a sign of a competitor, there it is right there. This is the anti-Pixar the place on the, it's a beautiful building inside. It's a courtyard. This area right here, this used to be the Los Angeles Police Department helicopter operations. And I had a friend here who was a police officer here and was in the helicopters. And he knew where I lived down there in Silver Lake, and every time he'd come by, he'd circle my house twice and expect me to run out the patio and wave, because he says, Kerr, you don't know how many hubcaps are being dropped in the street when I fly up your street, because car strippers, I scare them off and they think I'm going after them, and all I'm doing is going to wave to you. So I had a great operation here with the LAPD helicopter group. So we're going to continue on now, and we're going to drive up to another street, and there's going to be a little bit of a test. I want you to look at the name of this street and see if you can figure out what might be on this street. Recognize a lot of this stuff is Disney leased, Disney owned. You see on the right, you see all these colors from the original studio. And there's cast member number 1100. And we're going to make a turn on this street. So who can see the name of this street? What is it? Circle 7, he said. Okay, so what's on Circle 7 Street? We make a left turn now, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
ABC.
ABC. Who owns ABC? Where did Bob Iger come from? ABC. He worked for Capital Cities, and he got pulled into the deal and wound up president of the studio. That was not what he started to do in life, but there it is. When you watch KABC TV, it comes from this place. I gave a speech here some years ago on one of their sound stages. This is an absolutely gorgeous high-tech building inside. You'll notice the architecture is 1936 to 38 modern. You know, the round windows, the curved corners, looked a little bit like the old CBS studios down there on Sunset Boulevard during the war. I used to go down there in the streetcar and go to all the radio shows. Now we're going to keep on going. We're going to go down the end of the block, and this is kind of a secret area down here. This is actually the buildings where Avatar land is being developed for Walt Disney World. They're constructing it now, but all of the design development is very secret. It's down here, this building at the end. Now some days there's a lot of cars on Sunday, and there's very few out there. I used to kid people, I say, they are so late. You can tell when they're late because they're working Sundays, but there's only 2 cars today. Oh, they're walking the dog, that's why. Oh, okay. That means they must be getting close to getting done. So, as you can tell, these little blue trucks, there is no news today except the second truck is crashed. See how they smashed the front of that thing there? When there's no news, they just park them and they all go home. That's how news is done. When there's a lot of news, all the trucks are they're out every day going someplace. You see them all over the place. And up on the roof, why is the roof round? That's because that's where they land the helicopter. Sometimes they have to go in and out of a helicopter really quick, so they this building is a multi-purpose thing. They can land up on that roof. But anyway, this whole area, unbeknownst to a lot of people, so many Disney products are done here. There's the consumer products division is over here. We have a couple of the buildings I kind of lost track which they were. All the animation for Beauty and the Beast was all done over here. It was not done at the studio because Disney is so big. They have grown all over this entire area of Burbank and Glendale, roughly called Media District, while this one here is called Grand Central Creative Campus. Now, we're going to make a left turn, and we can take another picture of another sign just like that on the right side of the bus. So again, the deal is the ones on the left climb over the ones on the right, and then you can get your get a picture of what is now known worldwide as the Creative Campus. There's sometimes around 2,200 people working in this area here. And again, I repeat, high security area. And we'll just have the bus, the motor coach can stop in the middle of the intersection and block all the heavy traffic here so that you can get a picture of the great big sign. So they stop right here.
Thank you.
And that's a good one. Look, white letters against the black clouds. Look at that. That is really good. You got a wide enough angle. Otherwise, just do a live pan shot on that one. Sometimes when I come here for some special event, I go down to that guard shack. It's an act of Congress to get me in there because I got to have my name spelled right, and I got to be in the computer, and I got to have a host that will come and get me. And they don't trust me to look at anything here anymore. It's just the way it goes. So this building here on the right now that we're looking at, this is the 1401 building, which used to be Studio Girl Cosmetics Company. And we leased this starting in 1962. So if you stop right here, if people can take a picture of the front, you'll recognize that there's a lot of pictures have been taken on this front corner. This kind of big old area here where they got the jungle in it by the opening. And if you look at some of the historic Disney pictures, there was almost no trees here in 1962. At the end of the little parking lot, there's a beautiful garden in there with waterfalls and ponds, and it's called the Big D Restaurant. It's really a grand place in there. Okay, we're going to go now to Sonora Avenue, and we're going to backtrack our way over to Victory Boulevard, and then down to the freeway, and then west on the freeway, and we're going to get off at Buena Vista Avenue. And we're going to circle around and we'll make a stop where you can get off the bus and we'll look at the one of the entrances of the Disney studio. The building. The south corner here was kind of an open semi-jungle tropics area, sort of, where I think what was the name of the Robinson Crusoe-like movie? Swiss Family Robinson, yes. It was, a lot of it was shot right here on the corner of the lot. But over the years, real estate is so expensive here, and the expensive work that has to be done, you can't use it for shooting movies anymore. So there's virtually no movie shooting here. It's all corporate work now. So Disney, in a way, they have sort of like director groups. They'll have film investors, and so movies pretty much today are on a project-by-project basis with independent producers, some of which will have offices in the old animation building. They do use the sound stages here, but not so much as they used to. So I don't know how many more years the sound stages might be here, because there's so many sound stages in Southern California they actually use. There's a lot of location areas. There's places out by Santa Clarita. So it's really a big changed industry. The little places where we stopped there, that used to be a little vacant lot by the Swiss Family Robinson set, and that's where I built the original test track in 1961 for the Ford Magic Skyway for the 1964 World's Fair. If anybody ever been to the World's Fair in 64-65, we did develop that ride. That was about 3.5 years of engineering, because it was the first big ride I ever worked on. The idea of wheels on the ground, moving Ford vehicles of different weights and sizes uphill and downhill, accelerating, decelerating on a ride that would be at New York World's Fair for two seasons. So thank you all very much. It's always my delight. And if I do this every month, I probably will be able to keep remembering everything, because if I stop talking, then one of these days it's like, well, what the heck was that all about? I can't remember any of that now. Oh, look at here. They put some posts right where our... Okay, well, see, we have to find a place to... Well, you know what we could do? We could just pull up in front of the electric car plug-in station here and get out your extension cord. I don't think we're going to plug in here. Oh yeah, this is the big spot. I think we can get away with this. Well, now watch the water. There's a big pool of water here. And Sergio's up in front of us there. He'll help us finish up the trip here. Okay.
Folks, we're going to hold 1 second before we disembark, because Sergio's going to set up a table, and then we have some photos of Bob that are available for you for complimentary, and he'll sign them for you if you'd like, and be a nice little takeaway from today's.